Hey y'all, my name is Melody and thanks for stopping by. And if you like me and you like this channel, please do hit the subscribe, the thumbs up, leave a comment, do all the things, share with a friend. I would really appreciate it. I appreciate all of you being here, and I'll just get on with the book recommendation. So the book that I'm talking about today is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. It was published in 2017. It was a Goodreads Choice winner of 2017, and it is also a movie. I have not seen the movie. I tend to not watch a lot of movies these days as I am quite a busy woman. I have been sitting on wanting to read this book for quite a long time, to be honest with you, but I was never really much into the young adult genre, but I'm getting back into it because I'm actually finding that young adult books have been actually really good, not from what I remember, to be honest with you. I'm just going to read the synopsis, tell you that my star rating, and go through what the book is about, and things like that. Okay, I hope this helps a lot of people who might not have picked up this book to begin with, but yeah, let's get started, shall we? So, 16-year-old Star Carter moves between two worlds, the poor neighborhood where she lives and the fancy suburban prep school she attends. The uneasy balance between these worlds is shattered when Star witnesses the fatal shooting of her childhood best friend Khalil at the hands of a police officer. Khalil was unarmed. Soon afterwards, his death is a national headline. Some are calling him a thug, maybe even a drug dealer and a gangbanger. Protesters are taking to the streets in Khalil's name. Some cops and the local drug lord tried to intimidate Star and her family. What everyone wants to know is what really went down that night, and the only person alive who can answer that is Star. But what Star does or does not say could upend her community. It could be also it could also endanger her life. Inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement, this is a powerful and gripping young adult novel about one girl's struggle for justice. I gave it, on my Goodreads it shows it's a 5, but technically it's a 4.9, I guess, 4.8, 4.9. It's really good. I try to leave open because I always say there's always room for improvement, but it is a very, very good book, this. So I'm going to get into actually what I wrote on it, because I wrote it all down so that I hopefully won't leave anything out. So basically the title, The Hate You Give, is based on Tupac Shakur's thug life concept, which he said in an interview, because they asked him what thug life meant, especially the tattoo, because people thought he was glorifying violence. And the concept is that hate you give little infants F's everybody. Which basically means if you suppress a whole people, then you're just ruining the whole community and the whole world, sort of thing. That's what I get from the concept. Correct me if I am wrong, but I get that it's a case that you need to uplift all the communities in order to make a better environment and a better world for our young people and our adults. Okay, so Star Carter is a 16-year-old black girl from a mostly poor neighborhood who goes to an elite private school, which is predominantly white. She witnesses her childhood friend Khalil being shot and killed by a white police officer after he was taking her home from a neighborhood party. Star becomes embroiled in the national story as different narratives are given about how the shooting occurred, and the most defamatory is that her friend Khalil was a gangbanger and a drug dealer, which is repeated in the media, while the officer is shown in a good light and he is shown in a bad light, which we can all understand as what happens very constantly in the case of shootings in America by police officers on young black men or young poor people or people of color. While all this is happening, she attempts to maintain her anonymity as she was the only witness, and she wants to especially maintain this at her private school. Her father is a former gang member who is an owner of the local grocery store. He spent 3 years inside prison while Star was a child, as he confessed to a crime in order to protect the gang leader in the neighborhood called King. He is fiercely protective of the neighborhood and believes that the only way to help the neighborhood is to live in it. It leads to problems and conflict between her father and her mother because she wants to move her children to a safer neighborhood. She gets a promotion in her job and she wants to move out of this neighborhood that they were in, especially as a drive-by shooting occurs where shots are fired towards their house. Star's uncle Carlos is a police detective, and he's the one that convinces Star to talk to the police about the crime, but he doesn't live in the neighborhood. He lives in the neighborhood that is closer to the private school that she goes to. I think his wife is a doctor or some sort, but somewhere they both have made quite a bit of money and they've gone to this affluent neighborhood. So however, when Star does talk to the police, it's a very unnerving situation in which she is trying to tell them what she saw, and they are trying to create a narrative that they want, like get her to say what they want her to say, sort of thing. She also has a boyfriend, but her boyfriend's from the actual academy that she goes to, and he's white and affluent. And she doesn't know how to tell her father because her father has always been into like the Black Panthers and like civil rights movements and things like that. And she's afraid to tell her dad that she's dating a white boy because she's afraid that he won't accept him as such. So that's another narrative we have going on behind her, because there's so many stories weaved into this one book. All of this leads to a trial of the police officers who killed Khalil and the aftermath that follows. The aftermath that follows is a riot. I will do say that. I'm not going to say too much about it because if I start going on the multi-layers of the subject, you might as well read the book yourself because it is such a good book. The book is many layers, and the issues run concurrent with what is happening in America right now, as well as showing the experience in which young Black Americans find themselves, the positions that you get into, such as the Black Lives Matter, code switching, microaggressions, local politics, and performative action, because there's some performative action by students at the academy who go on a protest about Khalil, but it's not. It seems like it's more to get out of class than to actually protest what's going on. So it's more of a like, oh no. Anyway, it also gives insights into how far someone who is a victim of racist aggression deals with their feelings while being pulled as its symbol. So she's getting pulled in two ways. She hasn't dealt with like her grief yet, but she's also getting pulled into a position of power where she is a symbol. Is now her and Khalil will be a symbol for the movement, sort of thing. So it's how do you deal with that sort of pressure and that sort of like, and the emotions that go with that. Like I say, is I don't have much experience with this myself, and I can only view writings through the lens of other viewpoints, and I don't think that I can really review this book in the best possible light, but I can say that like books like these actually help us to view and question our own privilege as like not people of color. It's something that I think is important, is that we try to see, it's to empathize with others. That's more of the thing as well, as like if as a person you need to empathize with people no matter what their situation is, and try to like listen to their viewpoints and maybe see if you can to understand, because if you don't understand, you need to ask people to help you understand that, because trying to understand is the best way to move forward as well. But it does actually shine light on movements such as Black Lives Matter are important, and how systematic racism created neighborhoods like the one Star lives in, because it's like this when they created these catch-all neighborhoods and low cost housing, and they knew that like it was basically housing segregation by doing that, rather than to mix low cost housing in with neighborhoods. They created segments of the population where there will be like just one race in one neighborhood, and it just segregates it. It's not, as such, segregation doesn't exist, but it does on the lines that they have drawn, like that governments have drawn, and that's another aspect of the story. This is a total important book, not only for young adults, but for adults alike, as the experience of the next generation cannot be ignored as well. Like I say, this book is one of many layers. Once you actually go into the story, you look at that, because it's like family issues, community issues, national issues, and personal issues. It's just it's just so much in this story. It's a beautifully written book, and I could not highly recommend it enough. I don't know how good the movie is. Maybe the movie's really good, but to be honest, I'd rather have read the book and looked at the content there than to have watched the movie, because sometimes the movie doesn't pull across. A movie doesn't capture all the nuances of the book, and I think this book is one that is highly nuanced, and I highly recommend this book. Again, I always keep links in the description box below for resources to educate yourself and to assist the Black Lives Matter movement. I believe a lot of the petitions are on the Color for Change website, I think it's called. But I'll have cards linked down below, and they'll have links in them for you to go fill out as many petitions as you can in order to help this. Like I said, also give this book to a young person. I've given my copy to my daughter to read. She's 15, and I believe books like these can help her learn the experiences of other young people her age, whereas she may not be able to see it. Because it's like when we have people here, I know there was a lot of people who didn't see a point to having a protest and fight for Black Lives Matter because racism is not here. And that's not the case. Racism is everywhere. It's just where you can't see it. And if you haven't seen it, good for you. That's fine. But it's there, and it does happen. And just to ignore it is not really, it's not productive as such. Because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there, basically what I'm saying. So anyway, I hope this shed some light on this book. I hope this was a decent discussion on this book. If you have any comments or anything you'd like to add, please put them in the comments below. Again, stay safe, stay positive, guys. Read a book that makes you feel. That's the main thing. Read a book that makes you really feel. And I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.